Hello, and welcome to another episode of Views and Opinion on Hill Media Africa. My name is Oju Blessing Adiola Oba for short, and I will be your host for today. Before we proceed, do endeavor to like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Warmer temperatures over the years are gradually changing to hot temperature and water becoming scary due to the change in weather, disrupting the usual balance of nature, thereby putting every form of life at risk. These changes are evident in floods, drought, high temperature in Africa, and freezing weather in the West, and lots more. According to research, burning of fossil fuels such as oil and gas are the largest contributor to the global climate change, accounting for over 75% of global greenhouse emissions and nearly 90% of carbon dioxide emissions, which leads to global warming and climate change. On this episode, we bring to you words on climate change from our streets parliament. Don't go away.
The current climate change is really affecting us.
A lot of things that we used to see at the beginning are not there the way we are seeing it now.
Flooding in many areas, and this affects access to different locations.
That the weather is no longer what it used to be like.
You discover that there is no drainage system.
Being Nigerians, there are a lot of things that we do as Nigerians that affect our climate. For example, we have places where there are drainages, and those drainages, we throw things anyhow into those drainages and cause blockage. Some places that we are supposed to have drainages, those drainages are not actually provided. So they negatively affect roads, and you have a lot of flooding in many areas, and this affects access to different locations and bringing more distress and harm to citizens.
The current climate change is really affecting us or impacting in our daily lives in the negative way. Look at the flooding incident that happened last year. Hopefully, we are hoping that we don't get another flooding incident this year, and we can see a lot of erosion sites and gullies and all those things happening. So, negatively and also in a positive way, there's food this year, and we hope it will get better as the years goes on.
Crops that are supposed to ripen with the sun, now we have more rain, and that is leading to food scarcity. We have food insecurity. We have some other economic tolls that the climate change is actually having on the society. Businesses are crumbling because the roads to these businesses are being destroyed by erosion, like I've already mentioned. But then again, we cannot but blame leadership across board. Leadership ranging from government down to even religious leaders, because climate change would have been mitigated, would have been controlled if we have more sensitization, and we also have more political willpower to deal with situations like this. For instance, where we are right now, there is no electricity. The only reason we have light here now is because I'm using generator. And that leads to emission of gas. And when that happens, what happens? We still have the climate, we still have the depletion of the ozone layer. No matter how small, like they say, a little drop makes an ocean. So my small generator, which I'm using to power my business place, as little as it is in the system, it contributes to depletion of the ozone layer. Now, before you move from here and walk maybe 2-3 houses, you're going to have another person, either a householder or another business owner who is also using generator. For close to 2 weeks now, we don't have light around here. There's going to be a total shutdown. Sometime this year, the Nigerian government came up with a cashless economy. How can you begin to talk about cashless economy when even the crayfish woman in the street does not have light to charge his or her phone? If you can't charge your phone, then how can you do business? If they make transfer to you, how would you receive the alert? So, and if you have to keep business running, it means you need to have you need to find alternative source of energy. And that means, again, compounding the situation as long as it has to do with climate change. So you see that there is no commitment on the part of they that are in the corridors of power as to address this thing. One thing is certain, solving the problem of climate change is not something that can happen overnight. But then the commitment has to begin now. I hear the Chinese have this cliche. The best time to plant a bamboo was 20 years ago. Another best time to plant it is now. The best time to start working, the best time for concerted effort from the traditional leaders to the religious leaders to political leaders to civil liberty organizations across board. The best time for concerted effort is now.
There have been a lot of changes, but now it depends on us, we the human beings, who are the inhabitants of this environment now. What do we do differently to see that we change our own ways? We change the way we do things. A quick example you will see, the way we drop things. Looking at our forefathers those days, you don't see issues like polythene bags, what we call pure water. This is the sachet water. You see them spreading everywhere. Today you see those things everywhere. These are things like this that are contributing to some of those changes we see in our climate today. So what do we do differently to see that we curtail these things and make things right so that we live in an environment that will be peaceful?
Aspect of flooding. Let's use Imo State as an example. In Imo State in entirety, you discover that there is no drainage system, there is no water dam. There's no water dam where erosion can be controlled very well. And I think that is the cause of a lot of porosities in our roads. If you are going through maybe the Iyagwa/Naze, you see a lot of potholes, there is no gutter and there is no drillage. There is no dam where the water is being controlled into. So the government should look into that aspect and see how to make our road accessible and the water flowing directly to where it ought to go to.
Welcome back. We can deduce from the sampled opinions there that the awareness for climate change is on the rise, and this is because the risk and symptoms are equally on the rise. Our plea is that we check the human activities that contribute to this drastic change in our climate, but also to recognize the place of God Almighty in our limited earthly existence. And so, we have come to the end of this informative episode of Views and Opinion on Hill Media Africa. Join me next week for another interesting episode. I remain Ojo Blessing Adiola Oba.